Cool, B-roll, intro, winter jam.
Four-wheel drive.
All right, so this is the winter 4x4 Jamboree in Sand Hollow, Utah, and we got to experience it.
So we got to stay with Rich. He invited us to stay at his place, and
because we're on a budget. We got to see what spotting looks like, different obstacles. We're watching, we're learning, and we also got to talk to a bunch of professionals and really different skill levels all across the spectrum. So
there is no way in hell that the MadLads can drive this trail yet. They really don't know anything. My name's Rich Klein, president of Trail Hero, and we're here at Sand Hollow going to run the Trail Twister, 9-rated trail, part of the winter 4x4 Jamboree. Probably got more vehicles than we should and lesser capable vehicles than we should, but we're gonna get through, and along the way we're gonna have a little bit of carnage.
well, it seems like, you know, you're doing pretty good as the guide getting up, but what the hell do we have going on right over here? Is this
basically my skid plate ripped off the frame, but I need the skid plate. So instead of taking the skid plate off and then exposing my drivetrain,
right,
I just ratchet strap the skid plate back up.
How many ratchet straps like this should we keep on our Gladiator?
I always say bring somebody that has that stuff.
Yeah.
So that way you don't have to hold it. But I would say at least 2.
Okay.
One big one, one small one, always helps. I use them a lot, like if you break a drive line or a joint, you can hold the drive line up and still be able to drive out. Yeah.
So while we were on the trail, we met so many cool people, and we just had to start interviewing them and ask them, you know, what's some advice for us?
So we met 2 really helpful people, Trail Hunter and Rubber to the Rocks. They had a lot of good insight. Here's what they had to say.
My name's Chelsea. A lot of people know me as Trail Hunter on Instagram and YouTube. And we're out here today on Twister, having a great time, letting these people beat the crap out of their rigs.
So what word of advice can you give to us newbies?
It's all about having fun. Like, there's all different types of rigs here, all different levels, and then cost-wise, there's different ones. But honestly, like, you could have a beater and you could still come out here and have fun. Like, having fun is what it's all about.
Words of advice I tell anybody is over-axled, underpowered. I got a lot of money into this running gear so I can really sling it hard, and I have a good horsepower, but I'm still over-axled. That's what I would tell everybody is don't put the biggest tire on there just because you can. Don't put a 40-inch tall tire on a Dana 44. I'd run like 37s and put chromoly shafts, inner and outer, and get U-joints and your drive shaft like 1350s. But that's what I'd suggest, and just go out and have fun. And it's all about seat time. Seat time over every time. I'm 38 years old and I've been doing this since I was 18, non-stop.
So while we were on the trail, we also ducked as many people as we could find. Just as a heads up, some of the really hardcore off-roaders do not like to be ducked. We're sneaking around ducking them. we heard you like ducks.
Oh, you just got ducked. Something else. You guys are on your way to being Jeepers. Yeah.
Open. I thought you put in.
Thomas, where you at? Oh no, man, I'm on the rocks. There's like a Jeep in front of me. Dude, I've got a Jeep in front of me. I'm staring at the mountains. Dude, I'm literally on the rocks.
This is gonna be a new
Did
bit.
the welding come after, or was that up here?
The welding's not in there right now, so
okay.
Put that in there, Jansen, after this.
Cross member. Yeah, rear cross member.
During this whole trail, everything came to a halt when someone broke their cross member.
What's a cross member?
The transition cross member.
Transmission.
Yeah.
Transition.
The transmission crossmember, a structural component designed to withstand high loads, is directly linked to the engine transmission mount. It contributes to the overall rigidity of the vehicle and bears force and torque of the engine transmission unit. That sounds important.
Torque or twerk?
Torque.
Broke a cross member, she drug a rear tire and it stretched everything backwards. It's not too big a deal, but we just gotta get this back together so we can get her out of here.
So is this a temporary fix to get back down?
Yes, yeah, this isn't permanent. This is getting her out of here.
Yeah. There you go. That's a little hot.
So out on the trail, we saw so many products in action, you know, the suspension, the bumper, someone welding, and we really just wanted to start getting granular and learning more about products. So we decided to go to the vendor show that night and get really granular on these products and just keep learning.
But first, we had to duck as many Jeeps as we could.
You want a duck?
So while we're at the vendor show, Rich introduced us to a guy named Justin with Factor 55.
Justin, what up? And Factor 55 has some of the best off-road recovery gear in the business, and let's take a look.
So what do we have going on here?
So,
Ethan, hold on, let me tie a noose real quick.
you use a snatch block, right? You guys know what that is? Nope. So you're running a pull. This was something that we invented in order to replace the traditional snatch block.
So what would you use this as like?
So if you're trying to redirect your winch line, right? Or if you're trying to double the winch capacity for mechanical advantage.
So what did you learn about the snatch block, Ethan?
Well, it was really cool to see how basically we go back to elementary school and learn how pulleys work. So yeah, you have a pulley system that can redirect your line, whether it's to the side or you put a couple of them, and then it increases the power and the working load of the winch.
Yeah, so by inserting one of these into your recovery gear, you can actually double up the amount of poundage that you can pull, which is really cool.
And what's cool about their specific product is, you know, unlike a normal pulley where it just loops around, it doesn't come undone with their patented little teeth. The teeth, yeah.
The Ultrahook replaces it's the world's safest winch hook in the fact that not only does it have the closed system shackle mount, so we believe in what's called closed system winching. It's what we invented with the winch line shackle mount products, to where you would use like your D-ring, and that would interface into this hole, so no matter what you do, whether you're dragging a strap or a vehicle through the rocks, there's slack and tension on the line, nothing can come undone as soon as you screw this pin. So it's the most secure way to use your winch, right? This hook not only does it have your closed system shackle mount, but also has the quick access to the hook opening. So this, we machined a pocket here where the latch disappears into the body of the hook, so you have full access to the hook throat opening. It's got a ball detent pin that's stored into the body that can be pulled out to also lock the latch into place to contain the load. And it also has finger grips on the bottom of the hook to let you know that if you're going to use the hook, to come in to hook up from underneath.
Nice.
Because anytime you use a hook, you should always hook from the bottom.
Why is that?
The reason being is because if this were ever to tip load or open, you would have a failure. It's going to shoot the energy towards the ground, versus if you come down and that opens, that's what flings it back to the vehicle. Right? So you should always use a hook from the bottom. So that's what it's got the integrated finger grips in there.
Nice.
So we also learned about the Ultrahook, and it's a very safe, they say the world's safest hook system, which, you know, it had a locking guide so those ropes don't come out, but it also had rubber plates on it that, you know, helps prevent like metal to metal and like sharp edges.
Yeah, so because the Ultrahook can go straight into the winch, there's no loose rope that hangs when you drive. So he was saying it gets frayed, it can get damaged, so that fixes that problem, and it has no sharp edges.
So get an Ultrahook.
Get
Factor55.com.
We're gonna get two.
Two, please. It was awesome talking with Brad too from Warren.
But we're one of the few companies still selling recovery winches.
Okay, and what's the difference?
So utility winch, 15 to 30 seconds.
Okay.
And then the contactors, the motor, everything's hot. You gotta let it rest. You gotta let it cool down. It's built cheaper. It's built for short duty cycles.
Okay.
It's not built for recovering, pulling vehicles out of ditches and up
Which
ledges.
takes more than 30 seconds.
It takes more than 30 seconds. Actual recovery winches, long duty cycles. A Xeon is my premium winch. You and 8 buddies can count on this winch to get you home after any trip.
I didn't realize, but Warren's actually the oldest winch manufacturer in America, dating back 75 years, all the way back to when they first started using winches in the military in the 50s.
There's a utility winch and a recovery winch. So the difference between a utility winch is they're not as powered. They have shorter time frames of when they can be used. They have cool down periods. And what's cool about the recovery winch is that it's properly amped. It's properly wired. It has the power to recover a vehicle over a long distance of travel
and longer distance of time.
Yeah, so that was really cool to learn.
Another really cool tip that we learned from Brad was about what size winch goes on your vehicle.
It takes more than the weight of the vehicle to pull it through whatever it's mired into. And all of my winches have a brake in the drum that's going to hold whatever the rating is.
Okay.
So this one will hold 8,000 pounds and not pull apart.
Okay.
Not free spool.
You think if you have like a 5,000 pound weighted Jeep, you think you'd need a 5,000 pound winch, but that's not the case. You actually need 1.5 times what it weighs, because you have to consider how much weight it's actually being stuck inside. Like mud could be another 500 pounds.
So math check, what's a time and a half of a 5,000 pound Jeep, Ethan? So we learned a lot about winches and recovery gear from Justin and Brad, but then we were a little curious about wheels and we started looking at what brands were there, and we met Stacy from Raceline.
We kind of have different divisions. We got our side-by-sides.
Got it.
I mean, you can have your boat trailer, your tow pig, your everything match.
So we learned a lot about wheels from Stacy, and I definitely think Raceline's the way to go. They've been around, they do all different types of vehicles, which leads me to believe that they have a lot of science in their products, which makes me feel good. Now from Stacy, we also learned wheel it till it breaks.
Understand, dents, scratches, breakage, it's all gonna happen. One day it's gonna be your day. So then you just do it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I hear weird noises and things are wrong and I'm like, oh, I don't like this. But then it's like, well, will it till it breaks?
Yeah.
Because then it'll get fixed along with several other things.
And you build it back stronger, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
A cool nugget that we learned from Stacy was practice in two-wheel drive.
And sometimes going in two-wheel drive, it's actually, you get a closer feel to the reality of something without the four-wheel drive, because once you're in four-wheel drive, then it's taking care of itself a lot.
Right.
So with two-wheel drive, you get to feel a little bit of the resistance, and you get to kind of feel how the parts are working.
That does make sense.
The vehicles.
What she was saying was, you have the redneck locker, which means we don't have lockers, right? So she said you can use the emergency brake, because I guess that locks up the rear tires so you can kind of finagle your way up.
But in two-wheel drive, you can also get a better feel for what your vehicle's doing. So I think actually the most valuable piece of information that we got from Stacy was about airing down your tires.
Yeah, so we heard about it from Rich. You air down your tires, everyone airs down their tires, and we got to hear a first-hand story of why.
The first off-road story I heard was kind of weird. It was a couple in Australia. They went to Australia and they rented a vehicle. Well, they got stuck and they died, unfortunately. But the people, the search and rescue that went and found them, they aired the tires down and drove out. That just gave me chills.
No way.
Like, holy crap.
Wow.
So if you're ever stuck in the mud, air down your tires.
Yeah, so we're learning a lot of these vendor shows. It's cool getting to talk to people. It's cool getting to see the products. We're just learning. We're keeping this going. And
where to next, Ethan?
Where to next? Well, we actually got an invite to the next Jeep event, Easter Jeep Safari.
In Moab, Utah.
You blew out the mic when you did that.
In Moab, Utah. Whoop.